Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel. This is just a quick video and it's the fourth in my series of 4 about preparing for a self-sufficient winter and spring. And that means it's the preserving video. Now in this video I'm not going to go and tell you all about how we do stuff. I'm not going to tell you how we do our dehydrating, I'm not going to tell you how we do our canning and bottling. I'm not going to tell you how we do our freezing because there are just amazing books and videos available that tell you how to do that. It would be totally redundant because we actually don't do anything fancy. In fact, we intentionally just do things as simple as we possibly can. What I will show you is I'll show you a range of the things that we preserve. I'll show you where we store all those. I'll show you the basic tools that we use for the preserving. And I'll show you the database, the newly created database that we use to keep track of all the recipes that we use and all of the batches of preserves that we create. And so if you are interested in tracking those yourself, then you can take copies of those with our data in, and you can delete that data if you want, or you can keep it if you want, you add your own data, etc, etc. Or you can take a copy of ours and just browse around and play with it, or you can take an empty copy and populate it with your own data, or you can take an empty copy and change the database to suit your own individual needs and just get on with it and never have to look at my databases again. So there's masses of options there, and I'll show you those databases. I'll show you how to get copies of those databases, but basically they are the same databases or not the same databases, but the same technology that I use to create all of my other databases, my varieties database where I keep track of all the varieties, 250 something varieties of things that we grow, my sowing and planting log database, my first harvest dates database, my spending log database, and my harvest tally database. So everything that I'm showing you now, you can also look. I'll put links in to videos about those databases. So with that, I'm going to get home and I'll get on the computer and then I'll show you all these tools and all that sort of thing. So this is the dehydrator that we use. It's as simple as they can get, but it's nice and robust, and basically all you do is just set the temperature. We tend to run it the first hour at about 65, then turn it down to sort of 55, 50 depending on what we're doing. I like to just run it at 65 to start off with because it just dries everything out. Everything that we dehydrate, mostly anyway, is wet because it's been soaking in a vitamin C solution which stops it browning. So that dries it off nicely, and the high temperature just kills any bugs, and then 50 just lets it dehydrate nice and slowly. It doesn't use much energy. This is the dehydrator. It's got these nice metal trays. You just slide in. It's really simple. And then it's got this little plastic cover, slides over the front, and it runs pretty well off our solar panels. This is where we store everything that we've dehydrated in these bags. They're nice and dark when they're closed up. It's good to keep things in the dark. Use these Mylar bags just so we can see what we've actually got dehydrated. Most of this is apples and pears. So that's where we do all of our canning and bottling, and it's gas hob, and we use a lot of cheap stuff, sort of Home Bargains, Aldi, Poundland related type of stuff. Nice little cheap jars that we like a lot for preserves. Can't remember where these are from. Debbie will tell me later. I think they're probably from Poundland or Home Bargains, somewhere like that. They're really cheap anyway. We keep them in these boxes because they stack nicely. That's the logo. And some nice, reasonably good quality stainless steel containers for sterilising jars and cooking up sauces and jams. We've actually got, I'll just get a pan that Debbie really likes for doing sauces, passatas and the like. So they're the tools, and the only expensive thing, relatively expensive, is this moulay, and this just, yeah, this is lovely, and it dramatically reduces the work required to get the seeds out and for the sauces. So Debbie really loves that, and as it turns around it just crushes things against that that grid there. It's really great. So this is our preserves cupboard. At the bottom here we've got spices and then vinegars, and this is where we have like our homemade granolas and other cereals and things, and then we're kind of overflowing pickles and things like that here, and then passata sauces and related things there, more pickles up here, and then jams up the top. Just take you up there and have a look, bit more of a look. So I've got garlic here, quite nice in this wicker basket. There's lots of air gets to it. Passatas all the way back there, look, it goes a long way back. All sorts of jars, people give us jars all the time. We're constantly giving stuff away, and then we get the jars back from that and then extra jars. So we don't buy many large jars. So lots of passatas. Debbie's got a little label maker which she uses, which is really nice. And then lots of gherkins, onions, more gherkins, lots of pickled garlics and stuff at the back here. Lots of cordials and things and syrups. More syrups back here. All sorts of mixed fruit jams, plum jams, bramble jellies, gooseberry and orange jam, raspberry jam, mixed fruit jams, strawberry jams, all sorts, masses and masses of those. So that is most of our canning, and as I say, vast majority of it is passatas, masses of those, but loads, as I say, loads of pickles as well. And finally, this is our freezer. We don't do a huge amount of freezing. We've got spinach. In fact, in there I think we've just got butter. We get butter in sort of May time when the cows are on the lush grass, and we freeze it for winter. So we're always eating butter that comes from really lush grass. And then here we've got fruit, lots of different types of fruit, lots of different cordials, and sort of apple sauces and things. And then here, onions, loads of onions, various fruits, and that sort of thing. And then here, loads more onions, loads of beans. No. As I say, we're not big freezers. We much prefer to eat everything fresh, but it's nice to have some kind of ingredients stored away for winter recipes in the freezer. Okay, so I finally got around to creating a database for our preserves, and it's in the allotment management database. And that's where you can find the harvest tally and our spending log, the people that we feed, the total that we harvest, the monthly totals. No, that doesn't work actually. I haven't got that finished. But then I've also got the recipes, the batches of each of the recipes that we've made, and the books from which the recipes came. And I do recommend that you take a look at the books. And if you take a look at, say, one of them, like we were like the preserves book in the River Cottage series, you'll see a description of the book, the cover of the book, all the recipes that we've used from that book, and we have taken photos of those recipes. But as I said, don't just use our recipe photos here. Please buy the books. And so let's take a look at the recipes. So here we've got a picture of the ingredients of each of the recipes, and you can click on any one of those and you can see the ingredients that are actually in that recipe, and you can scroll down, you can see the batches that we made of that recipe, the sort of notional value that we gave it, a picture of the recipe in the book, and that's pretty much it, and a link to the book. And if you look at the batches, some sort of story, so these are all the batches that we've made since we started the database, which was, so that was recipe number 1, so it was 11th of June. So basically we did the database somewhere around the 11th of June. So that's pretty much everything apart from the stuff that we froze before then. This is most of the stuff that we've bottled or canned or frozen. We don't have all the stuff we freeze in here, but there's some of it is in here. Yeah, so there's a lot of jams and pickles and yeah, sort of frozen sauces, actual sort of passata type sauces, tomato sauces and peppers and things like that. Batches of apples and pears that we've dehydrated, gherkins, whatever that we've pickled, all sorts of stuff. So we've done 68 preserving batches so far, and we've got how many recipes? Let's have a quick look. 34 different recipes. This is quite a nice view. You can see all the different ingredients here, and one of the nice things about this database is that you can kind of just right click here and add a filter, and then you can pick some ingredient that you've got, for example strawberries, and so now you can see all the recipes that we've got that include strawberries. So mixed berry jelly, berry beaner, strawberry and rhubarb cordial, mixed fruit jam, strawberry and rhubarb jam, and just ordinary strawberry jam. And of course you can just change that, or you could maybe say, well actually I've got strawberry and rhubarb, well I've got rhubarb, and then these are the recipes that use rhubarb. So that's quite nice. And of course you can just clear that filter and you see everything. Sometimes quite interesting to take a look. Let's have a look at the batch again, and let's look at the grid. And so because we've got a value associated with each batch, with each recipe, so for each jar or whatever, we've notionally said, you know, this is worth £1.50 or something like that. So the total value that we harvested is 460. Sorry, that we've preserved so far this year is £466 worth, and we spent about £66 on ingredients and bottles and things, and so we've made a profit of £400. And we're not really bothered that much about the profit, but it is nice to know that we are actually saving some money, although most of this stuff that we make gets gifted to other people in the family. I guess we only eat probably less than half of it ourselves. And yes, finally, as I said, we've got the books, and as I say, all the books, there's a little bit of description, and a list of the recipes that use that book. So that is pretty much it for the database. You can get a copy of it from the Airtable universe. Let me just go back to that. So if you go into let me just go Airtable and you go to universe, and you can get all this in the description. And if you search that and you search, I guess, seaside allotment, actually it looks like you only need to type seaside, you'll get the allotment management database and the sowing log and varieties database. You click into the allotment management one, which is interestingly spelt wrong, so I'll have to fix that in a minute. And then what you'll see here is that database, so the harvest tally, the spending log, the weekly totals, the recipes, the batches and the books. And you can browse these just by clicking on them. So you can click on ingredients, for example, and take you to the view that we just saw, and you can look at like recipe photos and all the same sorts of things that I've just been showing you. You're just browsing a snapshot of my database, so it will be out of date. I've just updated it so it's current as it is right now. But what you can do is you can take your own copy. So down here it says you can copy the database, you can take your own copy of it. And so if you've got an account, you'll get a copy. And obviously I've got 2 copies now of that allotment database, so I don't want that one. So I'll have to delete that. But you get a complete copy of my database, which is quite nice. And then you can play around with it and update it to suit your own requirements. Everybody has different requirements, so everybody ends up changing it. And that's the beauty of something as simple as this. It really is very nice and simple to update and change. And yeah, so there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. So hope you liked that quick video and it was useful for you to see basically our approach to preserving some of the things we preserve, etc., etc. And with that, I'll see you soon.